Okay, good morning everyone and welcome back to day 2 of Elite Invite here in Leuven. This is the final round in the men's division and we have a game here between Alba from Scotland and Mooncatchers from Belgium. This game is mostly going to be for ranking points as both these teams have already confirmed their finishing place in the pool and already know who their next matchup is going to be against, as the same situation has occurred in the other group pool. In terms of their results from yesterday, Alba had a 15-7 loss against La Fada and a 15-9 loss against Chevron, who were also in their groups. And Mooncatchers had 2 universe point wins. In both of them, they came from behind, 15-14 against Chevron and 12-11 against La Fada. So while perhaps this game might not change much in regards to this tournament, like we've said, with the ranking points this year, both teams will be playing to do as well as they can. But also they might be looking to do some adjustments, as this game, again, won't change the outcomes of this tournament, but they might be looking to use it for season goals in terms of looking to the next tournaments. And Alba are starting with the pull. And we're going to see if the Mooncatchers O-line can start the day a little bit better than they finished the day yesterday, as yesterday it seemed like their D-line was getting them out of some tough spots. And again, for Alba, for anyone who's not familiar with the team, they're missing a number of their key handlers at this tournament, so their coach has said that this is a slightly more development tournament for them. And with Mooncatchers, I believe they would be looking at this season as one where hopefully they can go one step further than last year and potentially win Euros this year. So 2 slightly different rosters at this tournament, but 2 very strong teams nonetheless. Mooncatchers just working to this very patiently to start this point. And I think if you're the Mooncatchers coach, you're pretty happy with this start. And Alba on defense, you're probably pretty happy as well. I think you would expect Moon to be a team that would look to score quickly, and to make them throw a lot of passes is probably an okay start if you're the Alba coach looking to start this day. Again, there's a couple of other games going on at this stage as well. The other game in this group is between La Fada and Chevron, and that will determine who comes second in this group. And in the other pool, the games going on now are Clapham Jet Set, and like this game, that game is mostly just for ranking points, as Clapham have already topped that group and Jet Set are already bottom of that group. Those are the 2 teams that will be playing against the 2 teams on our stream here. And in the other game, it is Gentle and Wall City, and that is to determine who comes second and third in the other group. So I think the last point, the assist was Tom Glassman, and the goal was scored by Sofian Bontemps. And I would like to thank our scorekeepers on site who are helping us with the stats, as it can be very difficult here to see the players ourselves on the camera. So a nice deep pull by Mooncatchers there to start, and Alba are going to have to work the disc out from their own end zone. And that's a turn. Again, a bit like some of the turns yesterday in Alba's first game. I think it was more of a tour execution as opposed to high pressure defense. Nice fake, sells the defender, and I think that's a pick called. Potentially a foul call here, but still good heads-up defense by the defender who's guarding the cutter in the end zone to potentially have a chance of blocking the upline cut. I think when there's that much contact, it's usually going to end up being a foul. So again, while there's maybe some other more meaningful games going on at this stage, I would imagine most of the viewers in for this game might be people that know players directly on the team. So maybe some parents or some close friends of players on these teams. So just in case you're not aware, the sport of ultimate is self-refereed. So when there's calls or fouls, players will discuss it themselves and come to what they believe is the correct resolution. And that one is a turnover. So Alba will get a second chance on offense here. And that is good pressure on two upline cuts. First one was a foul, but second one's a clean D. So Alba O-line will be pretty happy to get the disc back here. Although they might not be happy with the position where they have to play from. So still stuck in their own end zone. Some open side dump poaches by the Mooncatchers defense. Yeah, I would probably describe both these teams as teams that are very happy to throw it deep. Although I think in this one, Alba might be more inclined to look to play a bit safer, as I think the Mooncatchers D-line is not really one you want to test that deep too much. But again, good play by Alba here to work the disc up the field. Nice around break. And here comes that deep shot. And it's a nice score for Alba, just over the defender's head. And that's exactly what your O-line wants after one turnover. Get the disc back, clean offense, work it up the field and score. So that'll do a lot for the confidence of the Alba O-line. I guess from a coach's perspective, if I was in charge of both these lines, if I'm the Mooncatchers coach, I think one of the things I'm really looking to focus on this game is trying to get the O-line a bit more organized. I did not see the games yesterday, but from hearing about them, it seemed that the O-line was at times struggling just to convert their scores, and that the D-line was getting the job done for them. I know last week at times their O-line was pretty perfect in the final until the last few points. So it's possibly not that big of an issue for them. Maybe it was just a small bit of an issue yesterday, but they have enough depth in their roster that when you have this many good players, maybe there isn't such a thing as an O-line and a D-line. You just have two lines that are both good at, or three lines that are both good at offense and defense. But yesterday it seemed like the line that was coming out on defense was possibly performing slightly better. In terms of if you're the Alba coach, again, you could look at this game as a bit of a free roll. There isn't too much to lose. They have a number of tournaments for ranking later in the season, so I think they're coming into this game knowing potentially it could be a tough result, but there's nothing to lose. And if it is a tough result, then they have plenty of games later in the season to recover from it. So I think neither of these teams really deep shot up. think neither of the teams really feeling too much pressure in this game. That hook just sails out of bounds. Neither of the teams playing this game with too much pressure. I think both coaches will just be looking to see if they can implement their systems and build for the next round of games. And of course, the next round of games are knockout, and the deep shot there straight from the sideline looks good, and that's a nice score for Alba. That is a break. So again, if we were talking about what you'd want to see as your coach, I think this is exactly what you want to see from Alba if you're their coach. And possibly Mooncatchers are going to need to have another chat with their O-line. Alba using that deep game straight away. Great throw. Wide open receiver. And I know the last point, yes, this was Matthew Miller to Theodore Herring. And we will try and see this one. It was Benjamin Tang. And it was Andrew Cleary with the score. So Andrew Cleary, one of the few people on this Alba team who are not actually Scottish. He's from Ireland, former player of mine. So, happy to see players that I've coached before playing at elite invite. I think he's living in Alba. Well, Alba. He's living. He's been playing for Alba for a couple of seasons now, I think, and possibly in addition to them, along with their coach, who's also Irish, Leo Micklem. So nice to see another former player of mine who I coached on a national team coaching this team also. So another great pull. Ends up being a brick, but I would think based on these last two pulls, I don't think there's probably too much wind. If there is, it's maybe a slight crosswind, possibly going from the near sideline to the far sideline based on the last hook by Mooncatchers that went OB, and this pull going out of bounds there as well. So probably near sideline to far sideline wind if there's any. I think I can see a flag in the distance. It's not really moving too much, so seems like pretty ideal conditions for playing Ultimate, especially for two teams like this. Now let's see if the Mooncatchers O-line can settle. Possibly just maybe early morning, slower start. They shoot it deep straight away. Defender looks close, and thought when it went up the defender was going to get there, but defender unable to get there. A nice clean score from Mooncatchers, and yeah, they're going to get that D-line back on the field, and let's see if they can get them back into the lead here. So that was Uchinsky with the score, or sorry, Uchinsky with the assist, and to Kirkland's with the goal. I think in terms of speaking of some Irish people that are involved with the Alba team, I think they have possibly only 3 players that are not down as from the UK. And then I think on the Mooncatchers roster, looking at the nationalities of the players, I think about 1/3 of their team is from outside of Belgium. So I know this year they picked up a couple of Dutch players. They still have some players that have played with them from previous seasons, and I think Paul Arters from America, who has played with them at World Clubs the year they came fourth. I think he's in Europe for the entire season with them this year. So a lot of really high-level additions to the Mooncatchers roster this year, and I think it's a sign of their intent that this year, I would imagine the aim is they have to be looking to win Euros. Last year they had a bit of a tough final, very close semi-final, possibly even looking to make it to the final last year, despite being one of the top teams all season. But in the final, things just didn't work out for them. So maybe adding in a couple of more experienced players, just to add a bit more strength of mentality to the team, might be what they think will get them over the finish line. And a poach D there, again, Alba just throwing it straight into the defender when they were very near the end zone, and this Mooncatchers D-line is going to get a chance to get the break back that they gave up just a couple of points ago. Again, nice grab to keep the disc in play there. Close bit by the defender there. Deep shot up. And I think that was just slight bit of a misthrow, and it actually worked out for the Mooncatchers. I think the defender was actually in a good position to stop a deep shot, but not sure if the offensive player meant to throw it like that, but it worked out. So, and if he meant to throw it like that, then that was a extremely high level throw because he put the defender falling over. So, I think it was Crisafulli for Demaray for the score there. Again, apologies if I mess up any of the pronunciations of names. I am with my girlfriend 4 years and I cannot pronounce her first name correctly. So sometimes I will struggle with the names of players that I have not attempted to pronounce before or have not met before. So hopefully the players will forgive me if I make a bit of a nightmare trying to pronounce their name. Just while we're waiting for this one, we'll give some spoiler alerts for the other games going on now. So Walled City and Gentle is 2-2. Clapham Jet Set is 3-3. And Bologna La Fada is 3-2 to Bologna versus Chevron is 3-2 to Chevron. So again, every game going on right now, in fact, every game right now is only 1 point in it. Still early on yet though. So again, big handler poach there on the open side dumps. Deep shot. Not waiting around. Looks good. Nice grab. Again, Alba deep game. Another wide open score. And that's what they're capable of doing even against Mooncatchers. Alba are a very, very dangerous team deep. And I think if, again, you're going to be pretty happy if you're the Alba coach to get some nice, easy scores like that. Especially, I think it was down the break side. They started with an open side dump poach. And they threw this to the break side. Possibly the defenders are slightly out of position. I know when you've got the open side lane poach, most of your defenders are anticipating that the disc will go to the open side. So perhaps the defenders were slightly caught out of position there based on the defensive setup. They were expecting the disc to go to the open side. And as soon as it goes to the break side, it's a wide open shot deep. So again, really nice throw. Give the defenders no chance. And I think it was Leon Williams to Cameron Agnew with the score. So again, we're at threes here. I think this is maybe the kind of start I think coaches or people who've played a lot would have possibly maybe expected. I know if you just look at the teams and the results yesterday, you might expect Mooncatchers to go on and win this game by a number of points. But again, this game is just for ranking points. I think both these teams are pretty confident that they're going to qualify for Euros at the end of the season anyway. So again, it's a low pressure game. And I think maybe towards the end, if Alba is still in it, I think maybe Mooncatchers, if they might look to get it going, as we say, a small bit more later in the game. But Alba very capable of getting a couple of scores early and possibly making this a very close game or taking a lead early. So again, don't be too surprised if this game goes down to the wire, even though based on the results yesterday, you might have thought this might be a slightly more one-sided game. And this is the first time the VO cam has gone off the screen and we don't see the disc, but so far in this game, it's actually been pretty good. I know I've done some before where the camera can be aiming at the wrong side of the field, but so far start this game, it's been pretty good. So let's hope that continues. Wide open player. And just as I start talking about it, I guess I slightly jinxed it. And Alba defense doing a lot better downfield this point. Just as I say, that deep shot goes up, two defenders there, and that's a turnover. So again, Alba pressure was building. Deep shot was maybe there, but again, I think this wind, possibly near sideline to far sideline, again just took that disc slightly out of play. But again, not a very easy throw to get right. And two defenders there. But again, Alba defense downfield was doing better there, forcing Mooncatchers to swing it back and forth. And I think when you've got the kind of players that this Mooncatchers line has, it's very hard to look off your shots. They've got people who want to shoot deep, and they've got a lot of big receivers who can easily go deep. So again, it's very understandable that it's hard for them sometimes to look off a deep shot. I think there was a blown poach there by Mooncatchers that allowed Alba to get out. Now they're working it up the far sideline. Works it off the sideline. Nice inside break. Unfortunately dropped. And I think if he'd been able to catch that, there might have been a nice opportunity for a quick, easy score after that. But again, Mooncatchers with another opportunity to score here. Throws up. That looks like a great throw. That is a great throw. Not much the defenders can do there. That's a really nice inside flick hook. And it was Bontemps, Sofiane Bontemps to Carclans for that. So Bontemps, one of the more, I would say, dynamic, powerful throwers on this team. And I think you could see there he made that throw look extremely easy. And for most players, that's not a very easy throw. So again, that's about as good of an example of a flick hook as you will see. And I think even if the wind was blowing stronger, it probably would not have made much difference to that. So I think sometimes when you're on defense and a team scores like that, there's not much to be said other than nice throw. And again, we're still pretty much just trading here in this game. I think each line has had a break, but we are back on score. So again, I think it's most likely this could be the case until about half. Maybe in the second half, Moon decide they want to put on a bit more pressure. But again, just because you say that doesn't mean it's going to change much. So let's see if Alba can keep slotting in their 0 points here. Nice scooper over the top there. Deep shot up. Looks like it's going to be contested. Nice defensive pressure. And hopefully I didn't just jinx the Alba O-line there, but Mooncatchers D-line with a chance here to take a 2-point lead. Not entirely sure what the force here was. Started off with a break and then it was forced sideline, so Alba might have had a miscommunication at the start of this point on the force. And I would imagine they've recovered it now. Nice pressure there. Again, I don't think the thrower gave the receiver much of a chance there. And I think he'd want that one back. I think it looked, from this angle, it looked like the defender had a really good line on that disc. So maybe a slightly forced throw by the offensive player there. Alba shoot deep straight away. Player looks wide open, and he is. And that's an Alba hold. Again, deep shots. Alba, they're not a team you want to just let deep like this. Even if you're the Mooncatchers defense, Alba are a team that will have no problem shooting deep and scoring deep, especially in these conditions. As someone from Ireland who grew up in similar weather conditions to what you get in Scotland, you give us deep space in this kind of weather, the disc is going. So and it was Andrew Dick to Alistair McNeil for that one. So again, back on serve. Mooncatchers O-line back on. Another nice pull right at the back of the end zone. Nice tight pressure. All the Alba players really tight. Nice grab. Downfield defense was pretty tight up to that point. It's off the break. Player streaking free deep. I think, again, nice one into the hands. Defender maybe slightly off the pace there, but slightly low hook. I think if he was closer, there was a chance of getting a turnover, but the hook works out, and yeah, ends up being an easy enough score for Mooncatchers at the end there. Possibly a bit fortunate on that hook, but again, there's been two very low hooks that I would have expected would have been end zone shots that the offensive player was actually catching more like an under. So perhaps it is something the Mooncatcher players are actually intending to throw, is these basically hooks to a player almost standing still or cutting under nearly to catch them, as opposed to shooting over them to the end zone. Again, I thought maybe the first one might have been a slight error on the throw, but that's the second one that looked like that. So the players were very deep for both of them, so perhaps it was slightly forced throws, but when the player's that wide open, it doesn't matter too much. And yeah, it was Bontemps to Lachinsky with that score. So again, I'll try and get you some updates from the other games during the next stoppage, and possibly some updates from some of the other divisions as well. So again, nice deep pull, might roll out, does not roll out the back, basically the perfect pull, and Alba here stuck in their end zone. And I thought initially it looked a bit like a zone at the start. Possibly might be zone with the handlers and downfield defense is playing tight. Thought it might have been a miscommunication at the start, but it looks intentional now. So yeah, three handler guards just trying to force sideways throw. It's like a forced middle, and so far it's working pretty well. There's nothing really available downfield for Alba. And yesterday, I think this was the situation they might have struggled with. Looking at the flags there now in the background, I would say it's fair to say that Alba are actually playing slightly upwind. So I think that might actually explain some of the slightly underthrown hooks that we've seen so far in this game. I would say right now the disc is blowing from the camera to the back left corner, maybe slightly. Alba working it pretty well here. Find the player wide open. So I think this would be a really nice score for Alba's confidence if they can get this one from starting in that end zone, playing upwind. If they can convert this one, it would be a very nice one for them. And that is a nice score. If you're the Alba offensive line there, that one is probably the point that'll give you the most confidence going forward for the rest of this game, especially when their coach has told me that they're missing a number of their main O-line handlers, or a main number of their handlers. Yeah, that was a confident looking point, and if that's what your cutters can do, then I think it shows why Alba are here in this division, playing at a lead invite. So they've been top 8 at EUCF twice, and they've had two top 12 finishes in what I believe are 4 attempts at European seasons. So again, Alba really are one of the consistent teams in terms of the top 10 kind of teams in Europe. They're definitely up there. And that was Greg Stewart or Alistair McNeil with that one. So just some updates on the other games. So Wall City Gentle 4-4, Clapham Jet Set 6-6, and the other game in this group is Chevron 6, Bologna 4. Again, pull just lands a couple of meters out of bounds. Depth-wise, in terms of how deep he threw it, almost perfect. I think it just caught the small bit too much outside in. And Mooncatchers will bring it in from the brick mark. looking like a bit of a possible force middle or front force here by the Alba defense. Nice inside break. I think a little slight bit of overconfidence there by the Mooncatchers O-line. And a bit of a throwaway. That's a couple they've had where an unfortunate drop there by Alba, but it's one or two turns by the Mooncatchers O-line where they've basically just thrown it into the defender. Mooncatchers with another chance here to score. Gonna have to work for this one. All the other players are slightly far away. It's going to need it. That's a really nice upline throw there against the front force to get out of what was a slightly tough position. Foul call on the throw. I was going to say it's uncontested. I can't tell if he's saying it's uncontested or he's giving the hand signal for what you want me to do. So both of those looked the very same, but I think it was an uncontested foul. And again, another one where it's just thrown a bit too casual by the O-line. And the Alba player gets another hand to it. So Alba with the chance to get the break here. Second chance in this point. And a big foot block there. Big foot block. I was actually looking downfield. I missed it. I just heard the sound of it. So I'm going to say it was a foot block. And it was Kirkland's with that. I think if you're going to try and get a disc around a target on a front force, I'm not sure if he's one of the guys you want to be trying to throw the disc around. And man is a big unit. Haven't played against him and guarded him once or twice. Yes. Probably one of the physically biggest players in Europe. So again, this time just not thrown to the defenders, but the Mooncatchers O-line, I can kind of start to see why they were having trouble yesterday. I don't think most of these throws should be turnovers, and perhaps they're a bit fortunate in this game that Alba haven't taken more advantage of it. It's understandable why they didn't get away with these opportunities yesterday, and I think Alba eventually, if you give them a couple more chances like this, they're going to punish you. So possibly even maybe the O-line of the Mooncatchers maybe needs to take a timeout and just have a talk about some of these, because if I'm the coach of the Mooncatchers line here, I'm pretty unhappy with these. Deep shot goes up. Not sure if it's going to stay in bounds. The defender touches it, so I'm going to guess it was close to in bounds the whole time, but not sure he really needed to do that. I think he actually just kicked the disc, so maybe the disc just went out of bounds near the end zone, but if that throw had not come back in, he would have got the disc on the halfway line, I think. So, but again, I think he's a smart enough defender to know that if he touches that. So, going to take the disc from the front of the end zone. Perhaps that little kick on the D is just a sign of frustration at the O-line and how they're playing. I think they're expecting to do a lot better in this game. And again, it's not. Deep shot goes up by Kirkland's. Again, it's contested. Last one, I think, with the nice grab. Has the height. And yeah, again, you're only going to get so many chances if you're able to score these points. But again, I think from a Mooncatcher's point of view, for the coach, you're probably a little frustrated with your O-line's decision-making right now. Maybe not necessarily decision-making, but execution. A couple of these turnovers have looked a little lazy. And again, I kind of expected a game like this, possibly trading to about half. But I think a bit of that can come more from you're possibly not getting the breaks, or sorry, your D-line is maybe struggling a bit more to get the scores rather than it being your O-line who's turning over so much. So again, if you're Alba right now, you're probably pretty happy with how this game is going so far, but I think they would have really liked to cash in one of those downwind break opportunities, because I feel in the second half they're going to get a lot less chances to do this. And it was Benjamin Ort to Oczynski there with that score. So Ort is one of these new players this year. I think he played in the US Nationals. I think he actually won it last year. with truck stops. So last year, US nationals, maybe this year hoping to try and get a European title. Although he already has some in mixed with his former mixed team group. So So again, this Mooncatcher defense again, maybe not as much this time. I thought it was going to be the three kind of handlers working together, but looks like a more normal tight defense this time. Bit fortunate there. Inside flick, slightly overthrown. I think it's the right throw to go for there. It might look like a more difficult throw, but when you're a confident thrower there, I think the inside flick there, maybe he threw it a little bit too much outside in, but the inside flick there is a throw you can get off a lot quicker. I think he didn't want to waste the time pivoting to throw the backhand, because if you pivot to throw that backhand, it takes a little bit longer, especially upwind there. If you're a confident thrower, the inside flick is probably a throw you're just going to normally throw there. So maybe to some people they might wonder why he threw that, but made a lot of sense to me. Just unfortunate execution error on the throw. So Mooncatchers D line here now, probably looking to get this break. They've only got one so far, and this is a down one. So they should be looking to convert this, and this would be a bit of a blow to the Alba O line. But again, I think if you told them they'd be 6-5 down after the first 11 points, they would be kind of okay with that. 7-5 now, slightly worse, but again, they're going to be a bit disappointed they missed some of those break chances in the last point, and the Mooncatchers D line again just scoring there without any problems. So seems like there's a bit of a discussion going on in the middle of the field over some of the calls or contact perhaps. But that was apologies if I get the player's name wrong, but Bentrancourt to Ableton's there. Again, apologies if I'm mispronouncing the names of the players. But that is Mooncatcher's second break of the game, 7-5. And this one would be to take half. So it might seem like an obvious statement here, but a kind of big point for Alba here. I think if they can score this one, they'd consider it close enough at half going into the second half. They have time to regroup and come out again, but I think 8-5 here. If Mooncatchers were to get the break here, I think it could be the sign of a bit of a runaway coming in the second half. So let's see if the Alba O-line can score their downwind here. Nice roller pull. Looks like it rolled almost 50 to 100 meters off the field. So we'll be waiting. While we're waiting for that to come back in, we'll check if there's any other updates in the other games. So in terms of Chevron are still leading by 2 points against Bologna. And in the other group, it's Clapham 8, Jets at 7, and it's 6-6 with Wall City and Gentle. So again, two pretty tight games in the other two games. In all the other games are tight, but especially the Wall City Gentle one. And in the Chevron and Bologna game, as those are games that will pretty heavily impact this tournament, as whichever teams win those, deep shot, whichever teams win those. And that's a nice grab. Nice one by Alba there, deep shot. Defensive pressure put on, but nice grab by the player. But as I was just saying in the other one, the Chevron Lafada and Gentle Walled City, both those games determine your finishing place in the group. So those are pretty impactful games on this tournament. So we'll try and see. There was Andrew Dick to Cameron Agnew there on that last point for Alba. There were two of the players that were playing the last time I had a game with my team in Ireland when we were knocked out of our hopes to try and qualify for Europe. They were two players playing back then, so they're two long-term players playing with Alba, getting in slotting in the nice downwind shot there. So no surprise to see a deep shot there to that receiver by that player. And let's see now if Alba can maybe get one more chance at a break before half. Again, in terms of the ranking and all this for the season, Alba have not played any ranked tournaments yet, so this will be their first ranked tournament. Mooncatchers have already played, I believe it was just one tournament ranked, but they also played Tom's tourney last week, so they have had a lot of deep shot up, and that's just a really nice throw there. Defensive players a little frustrated with each other deep there. I think they a little disappointed to concede that one so easy. But again, that is halftime now, and it was Sophie and Bontemps to Carclins for the score. So that is halftime here. So I think we will take a little break here, and then we will come back for the second half. Okay, so we're back here for the second half of Alba Mooncatchers. It's 8-6 to Mooncatchers. They're leading by one break. They started on offense. In terms of the other games going on right now, it's Chevron 8, La Fada 7, and in the other group, it's 9, Clapham 9, Jets at 8, and Wall City and Gentle are still trading at 6s. Just while we have some time, to give some updates on just the other games from yesterday. So in the women's division, Moon Cup topped their pool. BFD Shout in second, East Block in third, Jet Set Love in third. It was a three-way tie there for the top three teams. With East Block, they actually got the win early in the day against Shout, but ended up in third place after being on the end of a slightly heavy defeat to Moon Cup. Perhaps some people might have been surprised by that, but I think as someone who has spent a bit of time coaching in the women's division, I think you could understand a three-way tie in that one. I think the matchups in those games, certain teams match up well against certain teams, and as they say in combat sports, sometimes styles make fights. So, and then in the other group, Jinx Midnight topped the group. Yaka came second, Box Vienna Ultimate in third, and Iceni came fourth in that group. So we get back here to the open division now. Big point here for Alba. Again, you just conceded the point to go down 2 points at half. You want to come out here and start the second half with a score, especially when you're playing upwind. And this is probably the point that I think in my head when I talk about Mooncatchers going on a run in the second half and taking this game comfortably. This is probably the point that could get it started here. So again, if I'm the coach here of Alba, I feel I can really keep this game pretty close if I can knock in this point. But if Mooncatchers are to get a break here, you start to worry that maybe this game could get a little bit out of hand. And with the ranking points here, and possibly with the kind of lack of meaning of this game in regards to the tournament, I think you could consider this, if you're Alba, as a pretty favorable situation to be in to play Mooncatchers, where maybe they're not going at 100% yet, and you could get a couple more points than possibly you maybe normally would if this was a knockout game. So And that's exactly the kind of score Alba will want to start the second half, keep the game nice and close. And again, not really a surprise to see this game mostly trading out. And it was Theodore Herring to Leon Williams with that score. And again, thanks to our scorekeepers on site who are updating these stats for who's scoring. Unfortunately, yesterday I wasn't aware of this feature when I was doing my Alba game yesterday, so I unfortunately wasn't really able to give a shout out to too many of their players yesterday, but I know a couple of guys on the team a little bit, so hopefully they'll forgive me. Second day on the job, second day commentating for me, and a lead invite. Bit of a baptism by fire to start, but at least for those of you at home, you'll have the more long-standing commentators for the rest of the game, as this will be my last one for this weekend, and I will just get to sit back and enjoy watching the rest of the games. Looked like a very far up brick mark to me, but I guess the players can see it better than I can. And again, I think that's just one where Mooncatchers, the heads are just a bit switched off. I expected, I think it was Muller there, I would expect a player of his level to be able to keep the feet in there. Perhaps it was higher than I thought from this camera here, but I was expecting as soon as he went up for it to be a catch and to see it come down out of bounds. Alba shoot deep though, and that is out the back. So again, Mooncatchers here, their O-line's going to get another chance to score, but again, I think it's just one of those kind of games this morning where I think some of the heads are just not 100% switched on for the Mooncatchers team. As a player playing a long time, sometimes you have these games in the morning where I think they're coming in expecting wouldn't say comfortable victory. No game is going to be kind of that things are just going to take care of themselves. But if you're Alba coming into this game, I think you're also aware that this could be the mindset that the Mooncatchers players might have coming in, and you might start to get a little bit excited if you keep this game close towards the end of it. I guess I should offer some apologies to Mooncatchers if this is not actually true what I'm saying, but from my experience of years playing, this was to be the kind of game I would have expected this morning. But if it's just a case that they came out ready to go and they're just misclicking, then apologies. But as I said, I feel like I've been in a lot of these kind of situations at tournaments, maybe not quite at this level. Great deep there. There's wide open Alba player around the back. But again, no surprise here with this scoreline this early in the game. Nice grab there to save the disc. Again, another one where I just think it's a little more focused and some of these throws are a bit easier. That one is not one of the top turnovers I'm talking about. I think that one was just an unfortunate miscommunication there. So we're going to give some credit there to the defense for applying some pressure. Not sure if that's a hand block or if the disc just slipped out of his hand, but potentially a hand or a foot block there. The disc did look like it came out very wobbly, so I'll give the defender there some credit. I think it would be Kirkland's. That would be his second hand or foot block of this game if he got it. again, just another turnover on what looked like a fairly standard pass. Again, there is a bit of wind, but again, a lead invite, I don't think it's that big of a factor for some of these turnovers. Looks like that's an Alba timeout. To be honest, I'm not sure if I really like the timeout here. I think it's pretty clear that the Mooncatchers O-line is struggling a bit. But I guess you could also argue that the Alba D-line is struggling a bit to convert these breaks. So again, possibly a break to have a chat with your D-line here, emphasize the importance of trying to slot in one of these or talk about how you're going to try and score one of these points. But I think if I'm the Alba coach here, maybe I'm kind of more happy with the fact that the Mooncatchers O-line is struggling rather than the fact that my D-line is struggling to score the breaks. But again, I also understand the reason for calling a timeout here for the Alba coach. This could be a pretty good break. You've had a few chances. You've only got one early in the first half, and you're really struggling to move the disc here. So again, maybe not the one I would have called, but if they slot in this one, it's a big boost for them. We'll see how the Mooncatchers O-line adjusts after this point. If the Mooncatchers O-line comes out and they continue to have the same types of turnovers after this one, then it shows that the Alba coach is the genius, and that is why he is coaching a team at a lead invite, and I am here sitting just giving my opinions as a call myself maybe not a keyboard warrior, but a microphone warrior. So again, it's one of these things when you come out off a timeout like this, and it's pretty clear you're trying to isolate a couple of players. It's very easy for the defense to set up to guard it. So you can see here, big poach there by the deep defender, and Alba in tough spots straight away. I imagine that's a foul call, possibly a stall out. And I guess it was a stall out call. So again, you put yourself, I think, in a tough position when you come out and you try and set up your offense like this off a set play, because the defense can see very clearly what you're trying to do. But I guess this timeout did not help Mooncatchers as much as I thought, as they turn over straight away. And Alba are going to get another chance to break, and I'm feeling a bit more confident about them scoring this one now, as they probably have an idea what they want to focus on, but they're not starting from a dead disc as much. So I say that, and then on the 59th attempt, he finally catches the fumbling disc. So good focus by the Alba player there to hold on to that. And I'm not sure if you can hear me now, but my stream has slightly frozen. So I'm just going to try and guess what's happening. And based on this frozen screen that I'm looking at, with an Alba player streaking deep with his hand up, I'm going to guess that the deep shot went up. But honestly, I have no idea right now, as my screen is dark. So let's see if we can hopefully solve some of these technical difficulties. So again, if you're able to still hear me right now, apologies. We'll give a score update as the website has updated, and it looked like, unfortunately, Alba were unable to convert that break, and Mooncatchers are up 9 points to 7. So yeah, not sure if you could hear me during that update as the camera went out, but Mooncatchers managed to score the upwind there. So 9-7 to Mooncatchers is the score now. I would consider that a pretty significant hold for the Mooncatchers O-line, as I felt that was the kind of break where if Alba were able to get that break, it suddenly becomes a much more interesting game going into the end of this. So again, I don't know if there's too many things such as a significant hold, but when the Moonline offense is really struggling in that last point to get the score, to get it in, get your D-line out there, shows a bit of perseverance that they can at least get the disc back a couple of times. And if your O-line is capable at least of playing good defense, then you can be less worried about having a couple more turnovers. So Mooncatchers back here again with the 4 players downfield playing pretty tight defense, and the 3 players guarding handlers almost working like a flat zone in front of the disc. And again, the camera has gone down for me, so I am working with a dark screen right now. So again, if you can hear me now, apologies for the difficulties. There are 4 streams running at the same time now, so hopefully if this one is checking in and out, that you are possibly multi-screening and you can also be watching another one of the games going on at the same time. So hopefully we will have a picture back here soon. Just in case you can hear me, I will give some updates on some of the other games that are going on right now. Gentle are in the lead 9-8 against Wall City. Clapham are 12-10 up against Jet Set. And it is 9-9 in Mooncatchers Chevron. So again, hopefully we'll get the visual back here soon enough. I can give you an update that Alba scored their last point. So it was Steedman to Dick, and it's now 9-8. So if you're one of these hardcore fans who has decided to stick through this game despite the video outages, hopefully my radio commentary based on score updates is keeping you calm on this, what for me is a lovely Saturday morning here. I'm actually in Czech Republic. So again, I'm not actually sure if we have the audio, we have the visual coming back now. So hopefully you'll have it back on your screen soon, but not sure if the people at home can actually hear me when the video goes out. So if you can, then you know the updates. And if you can't, then I will just update you that the score is 9-8. So Alba scored their last one. If anyone in the chat wants to let me know if you're able to hear me during these video outages, it would be helpful from a technical point of view going forward with the tournament. But yeah, 9-8 is the score. So overhead scuba there, nice enough, just came off. Small bit more wind, it might have taken away, but pretty clean catch in the end. And Mooncatchers offense here is looking a bit better. They're doing what looks to be a 3-4 vert stack, something you see rarely, but I've often actually wondered why teams don't do more of a 3-4 vert stack. I've had mixed answers, but it's always been something I've been tempted to try. As I'm a coach, I kind of like the idea of having your 3 handlers and having lots of white space, and it worked out for Mooncatchers here. So again, nice clean upwind hold. Maybe it was one of their last couple of O-line points, but That's the first clean O-line point I've seen from the Mooncatchers in a while. Maybe it was, again, apologies to Mooncatchers if you just scored your last O point clean, but I think it's been a while since they had a clean O point. And it was Oczynski to Bontemps with that score. And the score is 10-8. So again, not sure if people were hearing my updates during the video outages, but in the other games, spoiler alerts, it's Wall City 9, Gentle 9, Clapham 13, Jet Set 11. And in the other game in this group, La Fada have now taken the lead. It's 10-9 against Chevron Action Flash. So again, all the games determined second and third in the groups are very tight right now. And the two games that are basically just for ranking, they are the games with the 2-point differences. But again, even though tournament-wise, this result here in this game does not mean a whole lot in terms of ranking. If Alba can keep this nice and close, it will definitely help them later in the season. Again, I expect Alba to be able to qualify anyway, but depending on how the actual seeding of the tournament works out, being able to maybe sneak in as a top 8 seed compared to maybe a 9th or 10th seed could actually make your EUCF tournament slightly easier if you get a more favorable starting group. So again, while at this tournament, this game doesn't really change anything in terms of the season-long ranking system that's been introduced this year. It could make I wouldn't say a significant difference, as I think the results aren't going to change dramatically between a lot of these top teams, but for one or two of those closer matchups, it could end up making a difference. So Alba will be trying to score as many points here on the board as they can in perhaps the only game this weekend where Mooncatchers are maybe not 100% focused on trying to get the maximum winning margins. Obviously, they want to win every game by as much as possible, but if you're a team looking to win this tournament, you do qualify straight for Euros. So I'm sure Mooncatchers do have that in mind this weekend, that they would like to secure their spot straight to the finals this weekend. So if I'm the Mooncatchers coach, this could be the one game this weekend where I'm thinking I have a chance to experiment a little bit with my groups, while still, you would think, being able to get the win in this game. So again, that was another factor in why I thought this game would be nice and close, despite yesterday Alba struggling to kind of keep up with the other teams that they were playing in their groups. Slightly lucky there to that the second offensive player was able to get the bid. Player streaking free deep. Is the defender going to catch up? No. Oh, a bit of a late bid there. I think from here it looked like a little bit too far away to make that bid. But maybe he just lost momentum near the end, so maybe it's not as bad as it looks. I haven't seen too many players making any kind of reckless bids this weekend, so perhaps just an unfortunate ending to that point where the Alba player kind of ran into the back legs of the Mooncatchers player. Looking at the two names of the players involved in that score, I will just apologize in advance. I will give their numbers. First, it's number 58 with the assist to number 18. If I attempt to pronounce these names, I will get them very badly wrong. So I think for this one, I will just apologize to these two players, and I will do my best in future to be able to pronounce these names. But I think I would make a bit of a mess of the pronunciation of these ones. So apologies to those two players, first two players that I've been unable to attempt to pronounce this tournament so far. So I think if you're Alba here, this is a pretty, again, like I've said for many of the points, but this is a kind of important point to keep the game close. I feel like if you get broken here a second time, I think it could be a situation where the Moon line goes on a run, your heads drop, and this game could get a little bit out of hand. But if you can slot this one in, I think you can hope to keep it a little bit closer for a little bit longer. So again, feels like a pretty significant point in terms of how close this game is going to be at the end here. So let's see how the Alba O-line can do here. Looks off the deep shot. Foot block. Trying to see the number of the player, but unable to see it. But nice foot block on the around. And again, this could be one of the enough spin on that throw to make it hang up long enough for the offensive player to get there. Deep shot. Huge grab, and that's another break. It's 12-8, and I believe that was an up and throw. A really nice throw. Didn't see the thrower. It was stats are telling me that it was Landenbrock to Dandan Demarais. So two of the main players there on this D line getting that upwind break, and I think now Moon will be thinking, okay, let's finish this game off, and it's going to be a tough end to this game, I think, if you're the Alba O-line. So let's see how they come out in this next point. But I feel like this is the kind of spot in the game now where the Mooncatchers D-line is going to be thinking, hey, we didn't start that great, but we got to make sure we're scoring as many points as we can here. And timeout called, I would guess, potentially by the Alba side, but I'm unsure. And I think both lines are probably just passing on. Well, I know if I was coaching either of these teams, the message from the Mooncatchers coach would be, hey, let's finish this game off now. Let's get those points on the board and let's get focused on our next game. And if you're the Alba coach, you're just thinking right now, hey, look, we've gotten broken twice. It's a bit of a frustrating spot right now, but every point matters this season, and let's just try and keep the heads up and get a little bit more focus here now, because they're most likely Mooncatchers are going to come at us here and try and end this game. And if we can keep this game close, come later in the season, it could make a bit of a difference to our ranking, and it could end up being a reason why we get a slightly more favorable seeding going into EUCF. So again, might be a 4-point game, but every point really matters. And just to try and give some updates on the other games going on right now. So it's 10-9, Wall City in the lead against Gentle. Clapham are 14-12 up against Jetset. And in the other game in this group, Bologna are now 2 points up against Chevron. And again, just to be clear, Alba will be, well, I'm almost certain Alba's next game will be against Clapham in a quarterfinal, and Mooncatchers are almost certainly going to be playing against Jetset. I say almost certainly, and the only reason I say that is just in case I have a mistake in the schedule. But as far as I'm concerned, it's impossible for those teams to not beat the top and bottom teams in their groups, regardless of the results of any of the games. So those two games are determined, and then the winner of Chevron and Bologna will be playing the loser of Gentle and Wall City, and vice versa. So again, Moon playing with their basically 3 handler marks working flat, and the downfield defenders playing tight defense. And I think the video cut out the last time this happened, but I believe Alba scored that point. So let's see if they can do it again here. Alba here closing in on the end zone. And they score again. Not entirely sure what I think of this defensive choice by Mooncatchers here. I guess if the idea is to slow down the other team, it's effective. But it never really looked like there was a whole lot of pressure there on the Alba defense, on the Alba offense. Perhaps in more windy conditions, it might be more effective. I'm not entirely sure how windy it is here. I realize the VO cam has just started slightly rocking in the wind now, so perhaps the wind has picked up a bit there, but I think it'll lead invite unless it's very windy. I'd be pretty surprised if that defense is going to get many turns against teams at this level. And it was Steedman to Williams on that last point. So the score is 12-9. And let's see how the Mooncatchers O-line plays on their upwind point. Wide open unders. Again, Mooncatchers O-line just with a throwaway. Perhaps a bit of miscommunication there. I'm not actually sure if the offensive player that was cutting for that throw was actually really looking for it, or if it was more of just shall we say, a high IQ throw where the thrower was just trying to lead their player, anticipating that they'd be looking for it. But Alba give the disc straight back. Bit of a fumble and a drop. Looks like maybe there was a call somewhere on the point, but I don't think it affected the play, so I imagine the turnover will stand, and it does. So pretty short field upwind here for Mooncatchers O-line. Again, I don't think it's very windy, but still a slight upwind here, so nice around break. Stuck on the sideline here. Gets off a nice inside throw. Disc is floating, but picked up, and that is a score for Mooncatchers. Thought for a second the lines had me confused. I thought it was slightly out of bounds, but the line is, the back of the end zone is a meter or two behind that line, so never really in much danger going out of bounds. Nice grab and nice throw by the offensive player. It was Oczynski to Ort for the upwind. And that is 13-9. So just a couple more updates on the other games. Clapham have beaten Jet Set, and that game is over at 15-13. Wall City and Gentle, it's 11-9 to Wall City. And in the BFD Lafada versus Chevron, it's 12-11 to Lafada. Big pull, lands in the end zone. And Mooncatchers have just gone with a normal person defense here. So I think maybe their coach agreed with me that maybe that zone the last time didn't really look like it was going to do much. And just a bit of miscommunication, but also a bit of a misthrow on the upwind there, and the Mooncatchers D-line is going to get a chance to score this downwind here. I think if you're the Mooncatchers coach here, you would like to keep Alba under 10 points. I think it would probably have been, if I was coming into this game as the coach of either team, especially if I was the Alba coach, I think I would have been saying, hey, if we can get 10 points on the board here, it's probably a pretty good result. Anything else is a plus. So right now they're on 9. Mooncatcher. And that is a really nice inside throw. Especially when that's a slight downwind, that's a very difficult throw to get to sit up like that. You have to really put a lot of spin on it, and that is, again, that's one of the nicer throws you're going to see this weekend. And that puts the score at 13-9. Actually, possibly 14-9. Yeah, I think that's 14-9 now. So again, I think if you're the Alba one, you really want to get this one last point, get to double digits. And if you're Mooncatchers, again, you kind of just want to slot this in and finish this game off and go focus on your quarterfinal stage, which is coming up later today against Jet Set. And just quickly on the other games still going on, Wall City are now 12-9 up against Gentle, and it is 12-12 in La Fada versus Chevron. So again, I do believe the score in this game right now is 14-9. However, it has not been put as 14-9 by the scorekeepers at the field. So, but I do believe the correct score is 14-9. So I believe if Moon were to get a break here, I do believe it would be the end of the game, and that is a turnover. And Moon have a short field to work in this last point. And they're setting up with 3 handlers and a vert stack. Okay, now it's gone back to normal vert stack 2-5. Cross field. And that is the game to Mooncatchers. So 15-9. And that is, I believe that's the final point of this game. And yes, that is the final point of this game. So that brings to the end the pool play stages for these two teams. Alba will be playing Clapham later on our streams, and Mooncatchers will be playing Jet Set later on today. Again, now these teams are getting to the business end of this tournament. From now on, it's knockout, and I'm sure we're going to see plenty of both these teams later during the season, and especially at the EUCF. I imagine they're both going to have a long season of ranking games ahead, but this was a pretty good game to start today. So thanks for joining me. This was John Dock, and enjoy the rest of the tournament, and see you at the fields.